Hey y'all. I don't know how much of this video we're gonna get through. We're gonna try and get it all in one look this time. The dog is ready. It's our winter pics video. So I really did try and narrow this down. This is narrowed down. We have a lot of categories. They're gonna skip around holidays and holiday neutral. We are going from November through the New Year's, and I can't wait to get started. I'm really excited this time. We're gonna try and do this before the baby wakes up because I worked really hard on this. Ice sparkly. I'm gonna try and make it a thing that we start with the kid-friendly videos. That way, if anyone ever wants to watch these videos with their kids, they can just watch the beginning and then skip out. So, vids for kids. I don't know why I love this movie so much. I just really love this movie. It's Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and it is a harvest festival movie. It's a little spooky, but it's really mostly just hilarious. So the main character, other than the Scooby Gang, is played by Tim Curry, or voiced by Tim Curry. Good old Tim Curry. Now this movie is 1999. And the poster will be going up right about meow. I'm not going to announce it verbally every time. I figured out this little countdown thing you saw. I'm going to use that for the posters. So just keep an eye over here for the countdown if you're someone who wants to avoid the posters. If you're a reactor or something. So my second choice in the vids for kids category is a holiday neutral winter kids movie called Snow Day from 2000, starring Xena Gray, who was a pretty popular child actress at the time, and Chris Elliott, who is a pretty big comedic actor, and you might know him from Scary Movie 2, which is not a kids movie. So Frosty the Snowman first aired in 1969. Frosty the Snowman always felt holiday neutral because it doesn't take place on Christmas. But Santa makes an appearance at one point, so, you know. So now the next movie, The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, 1994, is turned out to be just an absolute holiday classic. At the time when it came out, I remember like it was like, oh, you liked that movie? And I was like, yeah, I fucking loved that movie. I was in like 2nd grade, 3rd grade. I had decals to put on, but I'm already here, and I kind of like this. Yeah, we're gonna try not to wake up baby up. She's like right there, and you can probably hear PBS Kids. So when I first started this video, I only made it through the kids recommendations. I won't know till editing how that came out. I'm not gonna do them again because I went through a lot to redo the list. Okay. So today it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but I have a few Thanksgiving movies scattered around in here, so I'm going to leave them in because I already made the list. Also, they're very good movies, and I think really only 1, 2 are actually like Thanksgiving specific, and you can still just like you can probably just watch them like it's a family dinner movie. We're gonna laugh the holiday blues away seems like a good place to start. So, first we have Son-in-Law, 1993, starring Pauly Shore and Carla Gugino, which I actually didn't know she was in like a ton of stuff until a couple years ago. I started seeing her in like a ton of stuff, so she's been busy. She's in Red, the first one. And so I don't have a lot of tidbits for these movies this time. I decided I have, after writing all this down, legendary mentions. So in these movies, in like a secondary character role, there's a legend of the movies, of the entertainment industry. And in Son-in-Law, besides the dad, the grandpa, but for us like millennials, it's Patrick Rena of Big Green and Sandlot fame. Which is, I love this movie. It is really about finding yourself, expectations versus desires as far as life, and it is also hilarious and so very 90s. Just some 90s gold right here. And it's family friendly. There's some situations that aren't appropriate for young kids, but I know when I was a kid they went right over my head the first couple times I watched it. That doesn't mean that'll fly now. These kids. So next up on our Laugh the Holiday Blues Away, we have The 12 Days of Christmas Eve, 2004. This is my absolute favorite, like, building up to Christmas movie. I'll watch this probably twice a week leading up to Christmas. It is so funny. It is so heartwarming. It is so creative. And the trick to finding it, though, is that on the poster, as you can see, it has the number 12. But when you search for it, you have to type out the word 12. That movie is starring Steven Weber, who is kind of a B-movie comedian, but he's always really good in the roles he's in. He's got a really expressive face. And Molly Shannon. Like, you cannot go wrong with Molly Shannon. I think I don't need to explain that. And it was originally a TV movie. I don't remember which station it originally aired on. Maybe whatever FX was before it was FX, because it's an old movie. Anyway, I love this movie. It's a very Christmassy movie. But even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you can probably get a lot from it. It's just such a good movie. I'm gonna shut up now. Okay, in the same category, we have a absolute classic, Scrooged, with Bill Murray and Karen Allen, which the reactors will mostly know from Raiders of the Lost Ark. She's Marion. It's an obvious, like, I'm not spoiling anything. It's an obvious retelling of the what was the original The Christmas Carol. A retelling of the Christmas Carol. So Bill Murray is the Scrooged character. So Scrooged from 1988. Which is peak Bill Murray. Just absolute, like, top of his game, Bill Murray. And the budget on this, I think, was fairly large because it is so well done. There's lots of different kinds of effects for an 80s movie. It's very impressive. I would love people to watch this movie, especially for reaction channels. I love that my reactors love Bill Murray. Let's slide into some romance. I did not have a really good, clever title for this category. I bounced around with a few of them because I like really quirky romances, like with really unique plot lines. Like if it's a typical romantic plot line, I'm really uninterested. So to have as many as I had to whittle this list down of holiday romance movies is actually surprising to me. I had to really concentrate. So I went by availability for the ones I picked this year because I've seen both of these floating around the streaming channels. Both of these are on a few of them. So I have The Holiday, 2006, with Kate Winslet. She's like my favorite character. I've always identified with her. But there are so many people in this movie. It is an all-star cast. Like everyone in this movie is an impeccable actor. We have Kate Winslet, Jude Law, Jack Black, Cameron Diaz, and our legendary mention, Eli Wallach. His face. And his character in this movie is just, like, to me, the Eli Wallach character and storyline is the whole point of the movie, for me. That's the whole point of watching it for me, is Kate Winslet and Eli Wallach. And, like, everyone else is just sprinkle candy. That's because I'm a weirdo. Be a weirdo with me. Watch this movie. It's really good. Like, especially if you don't like romance movies, you'll like that one because it's an anti-romance movie. And while being adorable, hilarious, and holiday neutral. It's called The Holiday. Like, it's her trip is the holiday. It does take place around Christmas time and New Year's, and it's mentioned. And so is Hanukkah. But that's the point. Like, it's supposed to be just everybody watch this kind of movie. Next up is Serendipity from 2001. And the funny thing about this movie is I spent most of my life trying to convince people it was a Christmas movie. And then, like, this year, all the streaming channels are like, hey, this is kind of a Christmas movie. And I'm like, yes, finally. Someone recognizes the Christmasacity of this movie. Because it starts at Christmas, and it's, like, extra Christmassy. And you kind of think that's going to be the vibe of the whole movie. But most of the movie takes place in spring, which is also technically Christmassy, but that's besides the point. And I just did you see how excited I got? Because I just watched this, and I love this movie so much, and I hadn't gotten to watch it in years because I broke mine. Okay, so it's John Cusack. And Kate Beckinsale, which is... this is before Underworld by at least a year. So it's pre-Underworld Kate Beckinsale. We have side characters for each of them. We have Jeremy Piven is John Cusack's sidekick. And Molly Shannon is Kate Beckinsale's sidekick. And as we've established, you can't go wrong with Molly Shannon. The sidekicks, I swear, just make this movie the most perfect, clever, fast-paced, but still followable. It's another story of really just finding what you want versus what you're expected to do. and I just love those. And our legendary mention of the movie, Eugene Levy, which we get a significant amount of Eugene Levy in this movie. He makes anything hilarious, even when he is dead serious, which he is in this movie. I think that's what makes it so much even funnier. Okay. Let's do our black and white beauty next. I have The Bishop's Wife from 1947, starring Cary Grant, and I didn't write her name down because she's not very well known to me, and she's not very well known as far as I could tell from the filmography. And to me, the actual main characters are Cary Grant and David Niven, which most people will know from Clue. I've never seen Clue. I've seen him in a lot of older stuff, though. I was obsessed with black and white movies, silent movies, musicals, all the jazz, like my whole life. I love this movie. Originally, I watched this movie by accident because this is obviously a movie my mom knew from her childhood. And I had a trailer for The Preacher's Wife, which was a remake, a little more of a serious remake from the 90s. And I asked her when she went to the rental store or the library to get that one. And she came home with this one. And obviously I'm not going to say no to a black and white movie. Also, I had already been obsessed with watching the originals of remakes by that point. I think I was like 13. But it is definitely a Christmas movie. The beginning is really cool because you get to see the real window displays from 1940s New York City when they were really like, oh my god, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures or footage of the old window displays. Like, they do it now, but man, it was like they would spend all year working on these window displays. Maybe they still do on some streets, but it was a much bigger deal back in the day. So that part's really cool to me. The window into another time thing is really cool to me. You get to see old churches. Basically, it's just like spending an hour and a half in 1940s New York into one of the boroughs, like you're not in downtown. And I love that. And the plot is just amazing. It's a very Scrooge-esque plot. It's called The Bishop's Wife, so I'm not giving much away when I say the bishop is not paying enough attention to his wife. And it's Christmas. Someone's gonna learn a life lesson. Someone's heart is gonna grow 3 sizes that day. But who? But who is it and how? That is the point. And there's a twist, and I ain't telling the twist. Well, no. Let's do holiday horror now. So first for holiday horror, we have Bless the Child from the year 2000. Which I don't think is a coincidence. If you remember that it came out in the year 2000 while you're watching it, that will make sense to you, but it's not important to the plot of the movie or anything. So when I watched this movie the very first time, I think it was brand new. I think I got it on a whim from the rental store, just off the shelf. Looked interesting. The very beginning of the movie takes place at Christmas. Like, the instigation for the movie is at Christmas. There is nothing Christmassy about this movie. Just throwing that out there. There's a lot of religious imagery, mythology, Christian mythology and imagery to me, that always makes it a really interesting movie, and especially when it's like a well done plot. It's starring Kim Basinger, Angela Batiste, and Christina Ricci is our legendary mention of this movie. She plays a smaller character, but a very, very important character. And if you know anything about Kim Basinger as an actress, she's very, very picky with her art. She's just very picky about the message her art is sending, which is why it's hilarious that she asked for her part in Wayne's World, because I just love that. She's like, this is content worth participating in. But this movie, it's just really interesting. It's really well done. It's really creepy. So it's about this really special child, obviously, who is raised by her aunt, Kim Basinger, until around the age of 6, when some not good things start happening. And I should have wrote down their names, but I know their faces more than their names. Our detective, you would know as Miguel from Dexter, if you've ever seen Dexter. He's also in like a shit ton of things. Like, that's not a great role to know him from. This is a good role to know him from. He's our detective. And then our antagonist is actually in the holiday, but I didn't write his name down. Next up in the holiday horror category, I have End of Days from 1999. Again, the year is significant to the movie, and I think they talk about it in the movie anyway, what year it is. End of Days is starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Gabriel Byrne, and Robin Tunney. And you might know Robin Tunney from The Craft, and I know her the most from Empire Records. I've always found her to be quite a little bit of an over-the-top actress, but it always suits her roles pretty well. Especially this one. Like, it's an over-the-top movie, and I'm pretty sure it knew it going into it. There's real set locations in New York, which is pretty impressive to get that many actual locations in New York. There's a ton of computer graphics, which actually looking back on are still like top-notch graphics. It was really new back then to have that much in one movie. That wasn't like an action superhero fantasy movie. Pretty sure from the title you can get a gist of what our plot line might be. I won't tell you whose characters play what, because that would be spoilers. But yeah, it's a really, like I said, it's an over-the-top movie, but it knows it, so it's well done. It's over the top, but well done. I don't know how to put that out. I'm crashing really hard. So where do we leave off after that? We have, I really did a long list this time. But this is whittled down like a significant amount. So I had a family drama-rama category, because there's so much family drama around the holidays, no matter what religion, anti-religion, what life you lead. There is drama around the holidays, because I think it's just naturally ingrained in humanity to come together in the colder months. But now that we're all like, especially in our feelings, all more advanced, that's not as simple as coming together to survive through a cold winter. There's so much that goes with the holidays, with memories, with grief, There's so much grief around this time of year. So I didn't want to steer clear of that. I have movies for every category. I've been obsessed with movies my whole life. So, if you are one of those people that likes to feel their feelings through movies, here are two of them. The first one is called Pieces of April. It's from 2003. It is an indie movie, and it is Katie Holmes' first movie, like, ever. It's her first, it's for her first appearance on film. Her partner is played by Derek Luke, who I've really only ever seen in other independent movies back in the same time frame, around 2003, early 2000s. These are legendary mentions, but they're also just main characters in the movie. We have Oliver Platt and Patricia Clarkson as the parents. The sister is pretty famous now. She wasn't for like a really long time. Forgot to write her name down though. It's a girl in her early 20s who's living with her boyfriend in a city. I think it's supposed to be a generic city, but I'm not sure which. My brain wants to say Detroit, but they might have left it a generic city so it could apply to as many people as possible. We have a funny grandma character in here. She's our comic relief, along with the younger brother. They're like a little team. The younger brother, he's like 15 in the movie. She's fairly recognizable, but I don't remember her name, and I didn't write it down. I was trying not to write down like the whole cast list on all these movies because it's such a long movie list anyway. Oh my gosh, also the heat came on. Oh thank God. Okay, I'm back to being alive now. It was so cold. But next in this category, let's just move right along. We have Running with Scissors from 2006. This one I did write down the whole freaking cast because it is another star-studded cast. Everybody's in this freaking movie. We have Alec Baldwin, Gabrielle Union, Joseph Fiennes, Evan Rachel Wood, Gwyneth Paltrow, Brian Cox, Annette Bening, and Joseph Cross is our main character. And this movie is set in the 70s, so I'm already gonna love it if it's well done, like as far as continuity. And oh my God, so well done. The set pieces are insane. I'm sure it really helped that this movie is based off of an autobiography, and they would bring our main character from real life, the author of the book, onto set to make sure it looked correct. So the house he grew up in, the house he moves to later, the way the streets felt, the costumes, they're so natural. You could just find people walking around in those outfits now if you're like the vintage shoppers. Like they're just so it's just such it immerses you into itself. It is a beautiful movie with so many messages, and it really encapsulates the young person's perspective in a toxic household, but then also all the things that come along with that, all the extras, all the weird shit. Oh, there's husband. Husband has baby. I have slightly refreshed my coffee. I have my Christmas plate I made last year. Try and get myself back in the game. She woke up pissed because I didn't want to put her in the film with me, but I was already burned out enough, like on general. And then this marathon of a list, I swear. I really whittled this down as far as I could. I did not feel comfortable ditching any of these, so here we are. If you've made it this far through the video, thank you so much. Consider subscribing. This is a new thing I'm really trying to do. I've wanted to do it for a long time. I really like doing it. As you can see, I had a lot of fun when I was letting myself have fun. Other than that, let's get right back into it. So, a category I'm going to have here and there is my honorary 80s classic. It's classic 80s movies that have been a little left to time. So, batteries not included will perk up a lot of ears if they're my age or older. My age and younger probably have no freaking clue what it is. Batteries not included, from 1987. It's a really good cast, but a lot of them were actors of the time. I think the most recognizable actors are going to be Jessica Tandy and Frank McRae. And they're also the most fairly significant of all the characters. It is one of those movies where every character has a part to play, but some parts are bigger than others. So Jessica Tandy plays an elderly woman who runs a diner with her husband, and they've lived in this building pretty much since it was built. They have an apartment upstairs. It's an apartment building. And the whole building of characters gets a surprise. And I put this in this season because of the name, Batteries Not Included, and I'm pretty sure it came out around Christmas because of that. It has nothing to do with any specific holiday as far as I can recall. It's a very just unique 80s kind of mishmash of a sci-fi movie mixed with a inner city turmoil movie mixed with it's a kids movie with no kids in it. There's no kids in it, but it has the spirit of a kids movie. It's like a movie for your inner child. Yes, that is it. It's a movie for adults to watch to feed their inner child. That's what it is. So I highly recommend it, especially this time of year, especially what we just talked about, all the family this has a little touch on family heartstrings, and actually like just heartstrings in general. There's a lot of like little subplots that are just like, huh, or and then the biggest plot of the movie, our surprise, is so unique. I just can't. But it's such a good movie. Definitely an 80s classic. So if you're looking for that touch, that nostalgia 80s gritty, like heart deep movie with the sarcastic comedy of the 80s, this is the golden ticket for that kind of vibe. Now, that brings us to our last, but absolutely not the least. It is our Lord, King, Emperor of all Christmas movies. It is White Christmas. This movie lights me up. White Christmas, 1954, starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, Vera Allen, and our honorary mention, our honorary legend, Mary Wicks. You might know as Mary Lazarus from Sister Act. She is just in a little bit of everything. She is just a legend in the industry. She's been acting for a span of 70 years. I didn't want to look up to see if she was still alive or not because I just couldn't take it. But her character in this movie is so underrated as a character. She really just, she's our plot driver, that one. I love her. She's our sass. You gotta have sass in a musical. Helps the time go by. It is a musical. It is long. And there is one piece in the middle that I do believe at this day and age is extraneous. Not only is it outdated, it makes the movie as long as it is an entire music piece in the middle with no relation to the plot whatsoever. They were just having a ball. That was pretty common for those kind of musicals, but I think it's also because it's not a Rodgers and Hammerstein movie, but they poke fun at Rodgers and Hammerstein's like a lot. Maybe that's another reason I like it so much. I love movies that are so self-aware. Or like where the characters are self-aware, or the plot is self-aware, or the environment is self-aware. It's just something to where it's like the things that would normally pull you out of a movie, the movie itself is like, yeah, that's a thing, but we're going to feed into it so that you just stay with us. And that's pretty much this movie to a T. Every step of the way, they're pulling you in to this story because it is such a journey of a story. It is not just a bing, bang, boom, plot point, pew. You have to be willing to go on a journey with this movie. But it's effortless. It takes you on the ride all by itself. You just go for it. Like, I feel like It's a Wonderful Life, just because of how often it got played. It was on public domain for a long time. So, like, every channel would play it because it was free. Just play it all day. And I think that's why, to a lot of people, that became the quintessential Christmas movie. But this movie came out around the same time. It was originally in black and white. You're not gonna find it in black and white these days. I originally watched it in black and white. Way more than I ever saw it in color. But all the streaming sites have it in color, which makes sense. It's beautiful Technicolor that they did later. And in a lot of the early Technicolor movies, you really can tell that they went in and painted the frames afterwards. The rosy is a little too rosy, or it's a little off in some places, or makes the lines a little fuzzy, kind of makes it look animated. They did, and they took their time. Like, I think the colored version came out at least a decade after the original, and I'm pretty sure they spent that whole time getting it perfect, because it's impeccable. At the end scene where there's a Christmas tree, I'm not spoiling anything, it's a Christmas movie, there's a Christmas tree. Every ornament is colored differently. Like, that's my movie brain getting out of control. I'm a movie nerd, and I'm trying to embrace it. I'm also really fucking weird, trying to embrace that too. that's it. That it's a long list. I'm sure this is going to be a long video. I watch a lot of YouTube, so to me a half-hour video doesn't feel long, but I'm trying to remember that for normal people who watch YouTube, they don't really want to move video that's more than 10 minutes. So pretty much the only videos that are going to be short like that are going to be my item review videos for like items, like the bathtub ones I've done so far. I have a bunch of other ones lined up literally on this table. But I really like making these, so I hope other people like them. And I'm just going to keep making them. Even if they don't get very many views, I want them to be there for people when the desire to find new things arises. The baby's trying to get out of the husband's room. Well, we better wrap this up before she breaks the door down. I hope everybody has a safe and lovely winter. Take care of yourself. Take care of your emotions if you have the ability. Please donate. Please drop off some socks at your local charity. Throw a jacket in the jacket box at the grocery store. Whatever you can do, I encourage it. Times are tough. Thanks for watching. Click on all the things. Enjoy your holiday. Take care of yourself. And thanks for watching. Goodbye. Hey, wait, look at my shirt. I'm sorry, I'm really distracted by my makeup. I never look this good. Look at me.